Okay.
Yeah, so hello everyone.
Mhm.
Welcome to SGNT seminar. So today we have with us Ravi Tomar from ISER Mohali. He will be speaking on the second part of his talk, acylindrical complexes of hyperbolic groups and Cannon-Thurston map. Yeah, over to you, Ravi.
Okay, thank you. So, so in the first talk, we have discussed about the complexes of groups. So we have given the definitions of complexes of groups, and then we have discussed the fundamental group of complex of group and their universal cover, and when they are developable or not developable. So in which condition it is developable, I have given that. And we also have discussed some combination theorem of complexes of a group, in particular for hyperbolic groups. And so, so then we also have discussed. So I also have stated one of our main result about the Cannon-Thurston map for subcomplexes of group. And last time I also mentioned the theorem of Alexander Martin. So about the which is again a combination theorem for complex of hyperbolic group. So which says that suppose we are given a complex of hyperbolic group over a simplicial complex y. So when I say that a complex of hyperbolic group, I mean the all the local groups are hyperbolic. So in his theorem, he assumed that all the local groups are hyperbolic, local maps are QI embedding, and it is a developable complex of groups. So he assumed that its universal cover is cat0 and hyperbolic space. Also, he was assuming the fundamental group of complex of group is acting acylindrically on its universal cover. So, and the conclusion of his theorem was that fundamental group will be again hyperbolic and all the local groups will be quasi-convex. So this term was very crucial and it is also crucial for us. And so we are continuing our talk. So today I will be talking about the proof of sketch of proof of our main results. So in the first part I will be discussing about the Cannon-Thurston map of the subcomplexes of group, and later I will be talking about the combination theorem which we have proved. So, so to start with, so first of all, I will give the definition of complex of species. So a complex of species Cy over a simplicial complex Y consists of the following data. So for every simplex sigma of Y, we have a CW complex C sigma, and for every pair of simplices sigma contained in sigma prime, there is an embedding. It is topological embedding. So phi sigma sigma prime is a map from C sigma prime to C sigma. It is called a gluing map. And we have this compatibility condition. Is whenever this we have three things, so sigma is contained in sigma prime, contained in sigma double prime. So then we have this condition, this compatibility condition. So with this data, if we have such kind of data over a simplicial complex, then we will say that it is a complex of space. So then we define this realization. So how to glue this data together to form, so that we will again get a CW complex, which will, so it is a natural one. So this realization of a complex of the space Cy is the quotient space. So it is the just disjoint union of this sigma cross C sigma for each simplex, and we quotient out by this natural relation. So here this I sigma comma sigma prime, it is a natural this inclusion map of sigma to sigma prime, and this phi sigma comma sigma prime is a map from C sigma prime to C sigma. So for example, you can think of, suppose you are given an edge. So for each vertex we have some space, and for this edge we also have some space, and then we will glue them together by these embeddings. So this is the realization of this complex of the spaces. So now then further assume that this let Gy be a complex of groups satisfying all the hypotheses of Martin's theorem. So it means that all the local groups are hyperbolic, local maps are QI embedding, development is cat0 hyperbolic. So whenever I say that the development, I mean universal cover of the complex of group. So all the complexes of group for us are developable, and this action is cylindrical on the universal cover. So let B be the universal cover of this complex subgroup GY. So then, so whenever we have such things, so such complex subgroup, so actually then there exists a complex of spaces and denoted by EG over this universal cover B. So I am not giving the construction of this complex of spaces, but we are assuming that there exists some complex of spaces over the universal cover. And for a simplex of this universal cover, we will denote the local space. So in the definition of complex of space, for each simplex, we have some CW complex, C sigma, so which I am calling the local space. So here we will denote this local space by EG sigma. So also from construction, it will be clear that I'm not giving the construction, but from construction it follows that G is quasi-isometric to EG, and each local group will be quasi-isometric to EG sigma. So what is the output? Output is that we have a complex of space over the universal cover. So now then, since we are assuming all the hypotheses of Martin's theorem, so it means that the fundamental group is hyperbolic and local groups are quasi-convex in the fundamental group. So to prove that theorem, Martin's theorem, so Martin has constructed he has constructed some compact metrizable space, and he proved that the fundamental group of complex of group is acting as a uniform convergence group, and hence it will be hyperbolic and the Gromov boundary will be homeomorphic to that compact metrizable space. So now here I am giving the construction of that space. So with the spaces are just the Gromov boundary of the complex of group. So I am assuming all the hypotheses of again Martin's theorem. So let GY be a developable complex of hyperbolic group. Local maps are QI embedding. So I will denote this by for each sigma subset of Y. This let del G sigma denotes the Gromov boundary of the hyperbolic group G sigma, and let A be an edge of the first barocentric subdivision of the simplicial complex Y, corresponding to this sigma subset of sigma prime. So then since the local maps are QI embedding, and already we have embedding between local spaces, so then we have embedding phi A, so it is just a notation from this EG sigma prime to EG sigma. So this EG sigma prime bar is nothing but the compactification. So it is just the disjoint union of EG sigma prime with the Gromov boundary, its Gromov boundary, and EG sigma bar is similarly this EG sigma disjoint union Gromov boundary of this G sigma. So we have embedding. So then, so having all these things, so one can define this following space omega Y. So which is nothing but this. We just take the disjoint union of this all the Gromov boundary corresponding to each simplices of Y, and then we just take this this product with this fundamental G is the fundamental group of the complex subgroup, and then we have this natural this relation. So this relation says that G prime. So here this in the curly bracket sigma denotes a point. It is not a simplex. So it is just denote a point labeled by sigma. It is not the full simplex. So the natural relation says that G prime sigma S will be identified with the G sigma G prime S. So where S is an element of this G this local group. So it means that over each simplices in the universal cover, we have this some local group, and we are taking the disjoint union of all these boundary of Gromov boundary of the local groups. And this relation is just restricting that. So this relation is just saying that we have the disjoint union because for each element of this G sigma, we have infinitely many copies. So we are identifying all these copies. So in this way, we have the disjoint union of the Gromov boundary of the local group. So after this this omega sigma, so we further define an equivalence relation on this omega sigma. So which I will denote by this del stab G. So again, it is a relation which is coming from the construction of the development of the complex of group. So this is, again this G sigma xi will be identified with this G IT. So here IT is a natural morphism from the complex of group to the fundamental group of complex of group, and sigma prime phi a xi. So phi is a embedding. So we already have the embedding phi a from this EG sigma prime bar to EG sigma bar. So we will identify like this. So we have this space which I will denote by this del stab G. So finally, we since we are assuming it is a cat 0 space universal cover, so we have corresponding to this space we have the visual boundary, so which I will denote by this del B. And finally, we define this space del G, which is disjoint union of this del stab G union this visual boundary of the cat 0 space. And then finally, we define this EG bar, which is nothing but the disjoint union of EG. So EG is the complex of the space over the universal cover, and we take the disjoint union with this del G. So we have this space. Actually, it is a set so far. So we cannot say space so far. So, but in his paper, Martin defined a topology on this space, this EG bar, and prove that with this topology, this EG bar is a compact metrizable space. Okay, so that topology was a very special kind of topology. It was not obvious one. So we have this. So what is the output? Output is that we have this compact metrizable space EG bar corresponding to this complex of group, which is satisfying the hypothesis of Martin's theorem. So there was a definition which we need this domain. So let xi be any element of this del stab G. Then the domain of xi is denoted by d xi and defined as the subcomplex of this universal cover containing all simplices such that xi is an element of this del G sigma. So basically, it means that it is so it is a subcomplex of this universal cover where we can flow this this point xi actually. Yeah. So it is just a subcomplex. So it is not a subcomplex. So this proposition says that all domains are finite convex subcomplexes of B whose diameter are uniformly bounded by a cylindrical constant. So by eccentricity there was a constant K. So in fact, so this eccentricity will bound this domain. So we cannot go very far. Starting from some starting from some this simplices, we cannot go very far because of this eccentricity. So they will be convex subcomplexes whose diameter are uniformly bounded by this cylindrical constant. So finally, we have this, let P be the natural projection from EG, since it is a complex of the space EG over the universal cover. So we have the projection map, and then we can extend this projection to this whole EG bar to B bar. So it is defined like this. So if X is an element of EG, then we will just send it to PX. If we take eta to some boundary point of the visual boundary of cat 0 space B, so then it will be sent to the eta just, and xi will go to, if xi is coming from the stab of G, del stab G, so it will go to the domain of that that point. So if K is any subset of EG bar, then it will go to this P bar K will be the union of P bar Z. Z belongs to K. So also last time I mentioned that this Cann-Thefter map in a strong sense in our one of the for main result. So what does it mean? So it means that suppose you are given some to X and Y geodesic hyperbolic space and F is any map. We say that F admits the Cann-Thefter map in a strong sense if the following hold. So given any this y0 belonging to y, there exists a non-negative function mn such that Mn goes to infinity as n goes to infinity, and for all geodesic segment lambda, you can look at this in this picture lying outside this ball around this point y0 of radius n. So if lambda is fitting outside this n radius ball, then any geodesic segment in X joining the endpoints of f of lambda, they have to lie outside this ball with center f of y naught and radius mn. Okay, so actually this condition in this definition is a sufficient condition for the existence of Cann-Sexton map. It is given by Mahan in 1998, but here we are taking this as a part of our definition about this existence of Cann-Sexton map in a strong sense. So in his paper, actually he has proved this as a lemma, which is a sufficient condition for the existence of Cann-Sexton map, but here we are taking this as a definition. So now from now you can restrict yourself to the simple complex of group satisfying the hypothesis of Martin's theorem. So for simplicity, you can restrict yourself for the simple complex of group, or more simply, or you can restrict yourself to the polygon of group only, and which satisfy the hypothesis of Martin's theorem. And let y1 be just a subcomplex. So it is actually graphing the one skeleton of this y. So it is whatever here what we are going to do, it is actually to more generally, but I am taking only the for the subgraph of group. So for that I am taking only the subgraph of in the one skeleton of y. So or you can just take the polygons of group, and in the polygon you just take the some subgraph and do whatever here we are doing. So let gy1 be the subcomplex of group obtained by restricting gy to y1. So it means we are just restricting the complex of group to the y1. So thus we have this gy1 is a graph of group, and let b1 be the basket tree of gy1. So gy1 is a graph of group. So every graph of group is developable. So it is a, so therefore we can construct its universal cover, which is nothing but the basket tree. It is well known. So also assume hypothesis of our theory.
Hello.
Hmm.
Now, what was your point if we consider y1 as subcomplex instead of one simplices?
There is nothing. You can do everything. I'm just taking the simple case.
Okay. And the proofs will go
Okay,
same.
so also there will be some small changes, definitely, because we have the basket tree. So for this tree situation, we have some simple things.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah. So also we are assuming the hypothesis of our theorem. So our theorem says that we have, so in our statement of our theorem, we have this complex of groups satisfying all the hypotheses of Martin's theorem, and we take a subcomplex of group by restricting the complex of group to the y1, and we are also assuming its universal cover of subcomplex of group is cat0 hyperbolic, and the this at the level of fundamental group we have injection, and at the level of developed universal cover, so we have this Cann-Sexton map in this strong sense. So then the fundamental group of subcomplex of group will be hyperbolic, and there exists Cann-Sexton maps. So we are assuming the hypothesis of our theorem. So now in this situation, what is our claim? So let H be the fundamental group of this graph of group gy1. So we prove that this H is a hyperbolic group, and there exists Cann-Sexton map of this natural inclusion. So since by hypothesis we are assuming it is a proper embedding at the level of universal cover. So proper embedding means for all M positive there exists n positive, such that whenever the distance in B between 2 points is bounded by this capital M, so this will imply the distance in B1 in the basket tree will be bounded by this capital N. So since we have this proper embedding, so this will imply, and this fundamental group of this bigger complex of group is cylindrical on the universal cover B. So this will imply that the action of this fundamental group of graph of group H on B1 is cylindrical. So we have an cylindrical graph of hyperbolic group with the QI embedding condition. So this will imply H is a hyperbolic group and the vertex group are quasi-convex in H. Okay, not only that, we can also construct its Gromov boundary. So as we have done previously for this this complex of hyperbolic group satisfying hypothesis of Martin's theorem. So similarly, we can have this construction of Gromov boundary, which I will denote by this EH bar, which is nothing but EH union del stab H union this boundary, Gromov boundary of the Basset tree. So then we have this following natural map: I bar from EH bar to EG bar. So whenever this element X is coming from this EH union this del stab H, it will go to as it is. So whenever the element is coming from the boundary of Basset tree, so it will go to F of eta, where F is the ancestral map, this from the boundary of Basset tree to the boundary of universal cover of complex of group. So now it remains to prove that we have this map I bar natural map is a continuous map. So hyperbolicity we have already have proved, so it was a consequence. So before starting the actual proof, so we will have this lemma which Martin has proved. So let a Kn be a sequence of subset of EG bars. So then this Kn will converge uniformly to eta. It is some point in the visual boundary of this universal cover, if and only if you take the projection in B bar, so it will converge uniformly to the same point. It is if and only if. So the cases, so there will be several cases to prove this map I bar is continuous. So we will discuss briefly case by case. So the case first is, okay, so let eta k be a sequence in the boundary of Basset tree such that eta k is converging to eta, and this convergence is in B1 bar in the compactification of Basset tree. So then by above lemma, so it means that, oh not okay. So this convergence is in this EH bar, not in the compactification of the Basset tree. So eta k is converging to eta in EH bar. So EH bar already it has some topology. So in that topology it is converging. So this so then by above lemma we take the projection on this B1 bar. So the projection by definition projection will be nothing but this eta k itself. So then it will converge to eta in B1 bar. Now we have the convergence in the compactification of Basset tree. But we already have this ancestral map for this inclusion B1 to B. So it means that this and the F of eta k will converge to F of eta. And F of eta k is nothing but this, if you take the projection of this F of eta k on the universal cover of the bigger complex group. Then again we will invoke by invoking the above lemma, we see that this F of eta k is converging to F of eta in EG bar. So now we have the convergence in EG bar, the full compactification. So this was the first case, it was EG. And the second one, so now we take any sequence xk in EH. It is converging to eta in EH bar, where eta is some point in the boundary. So then by the above lemma again, take the projection of this xk, it will converge to eta in B1 bar, but their projection are the same. Okay. Okay, so then definition of the projection, this PB1 bar xk will it is same as this PB bar xk, and it is converging to F of eta in so in this B bar. So here we are using the existence of ancestral map for this. Again, we are using the, since I have to write B1 to beta, B1 to B, we have this CT map. So that's why it is converging to F of eta, and this will imply again by invoking the above level, this xk will converge to F of eta in EG bar. The cases they were is that Now you are taking a sequence in the stab, del stab H, such that this J is converging to eta in EH bar, and eta is some point in the boundary of Basquiat tree. So now we suppose that this J belonging GVK, since it is this J is coming from the stab boundary, this del stab H. So therefore, this all the J they will belong to some del GVK. But we know that if this E GVK is dense in the full compactification. So there again, they will exist for each K, they will exist a sequence X and K, such that X and K is converging to J. And not only that, so note that this convergence is in EH bar as well as in the EG bar also, because each of the compactification we have embedding in the full compactification. So therefore, the convergence will be in EH bar as well as in the EG bar. So now then we have to do some arguments of which I am not giving completely. So then we will use the second case and the sequence X and K. We will vary X and K both, and then we will use the second case because this X and K is converging to Jk. So therefore, and Jk is converging to eta, and then we will take the projection of the sequence X and K on the universal cover. So it will converge to f of eta, and we will do same kind of idea as we have done in the case 2. It requires some work, but I am not giving the complete argument. So it is just this is the idea. Okay. So we have this case number 4. So we have a sequence xk in EH such that this xk is converging to xi in EH. But then we have to prove that the same sequence is converging to xi in EG bar, and xi is some point in the this boundary of H. It is coming from the stabilizer. So there will be the two which we will do. So the subcase first. So let we just take the projection of xk on this B1 bar. So rotation bar xk equal to vk, fix x node some element of EH, and V naught to be the projection of that element. And we assume that this distance in B1 from V naught to Vk is uniformly bounded for all k. This will imply this distance is uniformly bounded by triangular inequality. Okay, so after fixing this, so let this gamma h be a geodesic joining 2 points xk1 and xk2 say in EH. Okay. So now then we take the projection of this geodesic in so which will be a subset of which will be a path in B1, and it will be a quasi-convex path because it is a geodesic in EH. So therefore it is a quasi-convex in EH, and therefore it will be quasi-convex in B1 because B1 is nothing but this this quasi-isometric to the, if you take the cone of this EH with respect to all the local spaces, so it will be quasi-isometric to B1. So therefore it will be quasi-convex, this projection joining VK1 and VK2. Since the distance is uniformly bounded, so now then we have this uniform quasi-convex path, which I will denote by this gamma q, which will be inside in the inverse image of this beta in EG bar. So note that this is a quasi-convex path in EG bar. So what is beta? Beta is a geodesic joining VK1 and VK2 in the this Basquiat tree, and then I am saying that whenever the distance is uniformly bounded, so then we have a uniform quasi-convex path in EG bar. So why is that? Because suppose this you have this two vertex spaces here and here, where this xk1 and xk2 lie, and then we have this edge spaces and vertex spaces. So this direction is coming from the direction of this geodesic beta in the base space. So we will just take the nearest point projection of xk1 on in this edge space. Then we we came here, then take the nearest point projection in the direction of geodesic beta, and we can keep on doing until we reach here xk2. So suppose we are reaching here, then we will again join this point to this point ya geodesic. So why it is a quasi-convex path? Because this all the local groups are quasi-convex in the full group. So therefore, this spaces are quasi-convex, and under the quasi-isometry, image of a geodesic is a quasi-geodesic. So we take the concatenation of all these paths. So it will be a uniform quasi-convex path. It is not a quasi-geodesic. It is a uniform quasi-convex path in EG path. Okay, so having this uniform quasi-convex path joining xk1 and xk2. So let this gamma g be a geodesic in EG joining xk1 and xk2. So since we have this gamma q is a quasi-convex path in EG and joining xk1 and xk2. So here is this picture. So we have this path joining xk1 and xk2 in the EG, and we have this quasi-convex path gamma q, and gamma is a geodesic. So then we have this dotted uniform quasi-geodesic gamma bar q inside this gamma q in EG. So it is just a property in hyperbolic geometry that whenever you have this geodesic and this quasi-convex path, then you can always construct this such uniform quasi-geodesic. It will be dotted. So dotted means it is a path from the integer to in this space. So we have uniform quasi-geodesic dotted in this gamma bar q in gamma q. So as this is a proper embedding and it is a uniform quasi-geodesic in EG, so this will imply that this using this proper embedding, so it will require some work that this gamma bar q will be uniform quasi-geodesic in EH. Because the image is fitting inside in EH and it is a proper embedding, so it will force that it will be uniform quasi-geodesic in EH. So now we have this. So as xk is converging to xi in EH bar, so therefore the distance from x naught to gamma h will be very far. It is going to infinity. So this will imply that the distance from x naught to gamma bar q will be very far during the stability of quasi-geodesic hyperbolic space. And this will imply that since we have the proper embedding from EH to EG, distance from x naught to gamma bar q is very far. And note that this gamma bar q is also a uniform quasi-geodesic in EG. So therefore, the distance from x naught to gamma h, and gamma is a geodesic joining xk1 and xk2. It is very far. So this will imply xk will be a convergent sequence in EG, and it will also converge to the same point xi in EG bar. So this was that. So now we have arrived in the second case when this distance is not bounded. So then how will we do that? So first of all, we will find a method to find the limit of this sequence. So since we are given a sequence xk converging to xi in the stabilizer boundary, so and we have the projection vk of the each point xk in the bus territory, and it is not bounded. Distance is not bounded in the bus territory. So for each k, let we assume that alpha k be a geodesic joining v0 to vk, and let this e0k for each k, e1k and dot be a finite sequence of edges met by this geodesic alpha k in the bus territory. Okay, so now we assume that let if possible such sequence this elk where k is varying is finite for all L. So it means that then up to a subsequence we can assume that this edges eventually become an edge EL from which this all the geodesic are going through. All the geodesic segments alpha k are going through for all L greater than or equal to 0. Then again up to a subsequence the edge is met by the geodesic segment alpha k. We will have the situation of this form. So we have this edges eventually this all this finite sequence will become an single edge e0, e1 and e2. So now if we have this situation, so then there will exist a subsequence of the original sequence xk, which will converge to eta in EG bar. So it is a lemma in this Martin paper that it will converge to eta whenever we have this such situation. And eta is coming from this boundary of the Basferi tree, but it is a contradiction because xk is already converging to xi and xi is a stabilizer bounded, so its subsequence also has to converge to xi. So then, so hence there will exist some L greater than or equal to 0 such that this number of this edge is ELK, where k is varying, it has to be infinite. Some L. Without loss of generality, we can assume that L is minimal. So we have this situation of this form. So all the edges which are before this L, we up to a subsequent they will become a single edge. So we have this situation starting from V0, we have E0, E1, and up and so on. We have EL minus 1, and then we have some vertex V here, and after that vertex we have this star-like situation. So therefore, this if you will look at this at the level of species, what is happening. So and also note that this action of this fundamental group or graph group on this respiratory is co-compact. So therefore, again up to a subsequent, we can say that this EG sigma LK bar, which will be nothing but a translate of a single space EG E bar, and HL is coming from the fundamental group of graph group, and they are again fitting inside in here. In if you look at the space level, what is happening. So then by the convergence property, since this edge groups are quasi-convex, and we are just taking a translate of the limit set of the quasi-convex subgroup, so therefore they will converge uniformly to some single point in this EG EGE L minus 1 bar. So this will imply that there exists a subsequence of xk converging to this xi prime, and hence this xi prime has to be xi because the subsequence is converging to xi prime, so therefore the full sequence has to be converged to xi. So far what we have done, so we have just obtained a method to obtain a limit of a sequence. So suppose in this situation you are given a sequence and xk is converging to some point xi in the stabilizer boundary, then you can, using this method, you can find where this xi is living. Okay. So now, so again up to a subsequent, we can assume that this difference in the Basferi tree from. So here we are fixing this vertex V here. So from V to Vk, we can assume that it is increasing because it is an unbounded sequence, and let this distance from V to Vk is bigger than or equal to k for each k. We can assume up to a subsequence. Then just to look at this sphere at this vertex V of radius r, and this will intersect beta k. Beta k are nothing but the part of alpha k, and for k bigger than or equal to r. So they will intersect because the distance from V to Vk is bigger than or equal to k. So therefore the distance from V to Vr, it is again bigger than or equal to k. Therefore we have the intersection of this segment beta k with this sphere of radius r. So we will fix some r. So the situation is like this. Let me draw some pictures. So from V, we have infinitely many edges going out. So we are just taking this vertex V and we are taking the sphere of radius r, and then we will collect all the points on this sphere. So we will denote by this VKR, which are the points on this segment beta k from V to Vk, and then we choose the corresponding element xkr in this on this space EGVKR, and then we construct this sequence xkr for k bigger than or equal to r. And since this all the points are sorry, so since all the points this VKR lying on this geodesic segments, they are the part of the geodesic segment and they are coming after this vertex V. So therefore if you look at this sequence xkr, so this will also has to converge to xi in EH bar. And again, this not only that, this convergence in, it is a convergence in EH bar, but it will be converged to in EG bar also. Why is that? Because the distance is bounded. So then the by the first sub case, it will has to converge to xi in EG bar also. So now again, we will vary this k and r, and using some diagonal argument, they will exist a subsequence of xk converging to xi in EG bar. So it will require some work. I'm not giving the full detail, but it will require some work. So here in the proof of this fact, they will exist a subsequence of xk converging to xi in EG bar. We will use this hypothesis, this existence of a strong ancestral map in the strong sense. And also we have to use some other lemma, which I haven't stated because of this lack of time. So, but here, this is the idea to prove this case. So since we have the subsequence of this xk, it will converge to xi in EG bar, and it is true for every subsequence. I mean, given a subsequence of xk, they will exist further a subsequence, which will converge to xi in EG bar. So therefore, the original sequence has to converge to xi in EG bar, and this is what we want. Okay, so now in the fifth case, which I am quickly going through. So let's xi k be a sequence in EH bar, which is converging to xi in EH bar. Xi is an element of this stabilizer boundary, and xi k is also coming from the stabilizer boundary. Fix some x naught in EH, and V naught is the projection of x naught. So again, there will be two cases. Like previously, we have two sub cases. So the first one is that whenever the distance from V naught to this projection, so here note that the projection of this xi k will be the domain of xi k, and we assume that it is uniformly bounded. It will be your first sub case. So let the xi k is an element in del gvk, and xi is an element of del gv. Since for each k, again we will use some density argument. This egvk is dense in egvk bar. So therefore there will exist a subsequence for each k, x and k converging to xi k in eh bar, and this convergence will be in eg bar also by the previous subcase one actually. So then again, using this sequence x and k and the subcase one of the previous case, we will be done. I mean, it will require some calculation and work. So, but we have to use this density of this each vertex space in the full compactification. So the second subcase will be again this, whenever this distance from V naught to this domains are unbounded. So again, we will use the density of the vertex space and subcase 2 of the case 4, and then we will be through. So the final case will be when we have this sequence eta k from the Bus-Silentary boundary, and it is converging to some element xi in EH bar, and xi is an element of this coming from the stabilizer boundary of H. So again, we have to use the density of EH in EH bar. So it means that for each k, they will exist a sequence xkn in EH, which will converge to eta k. And then we have to the lemma of Martin. So it will converge to eta k again, and then by the existence of ancestral map, this sequence will converge to f of eta k. And then again, we will apply this lemma of Martin in the above space. So the sequence x and k will converge to f of eta k in EG bar. Then we have to adjust some constant and density argument. So then this case will be done. This f of eta k will converge to xi in EG bar. So after these cases, we we have proved that this map I bar is continuous map, so therefore we have Cantrefter map. Also, there was a moreover a statement that this subgroup H will be a quasi-convex subgroup of G if and only if we have the injective Cantrefter map in a strong sense. So which is easy to prove that. So in one direction, suppose we have the injective Cantrefter map in a strong sense. So then this will imply that we have injective Cantrefter map at the level of this group for this inclusion H in G. And since this Cantrefter map is injective, so therefore this H has to be quasi-convex. And similarly, conversely, suppose H is quasi-convex, so we have this injective Cantrefter map, and therefore this we should have this injective Cantrefter map at the level of universal cover by the construction of the boundary. That okay. So this was the first part. So let me quickly go into the second part. So to the definition, so for giving the definition of a fine graph, so a graph K is said to be fine. So if each edge of the graph K is contained only in finitely many circuits of length n for each n. So here circuits means embedded cycle. So why I am giving this definition of fine graph? So it is used in define the relative hyperbolicity of a group. So let G be a group and H be a collection of infinite subgroup. So the group G is said to be hyperbolic relative to H, this collection. So if there exists a connected graph K with the action of G such that K is a fine hyperbolic graph, there are finitely many orbits of edges and each edge stabilizer is finite and elements of H are precisely the infinite vertex stabilizer under the action of G on this graph. Okay, so now after that we have the definition of tree-graded space. So let X be a complete geodesic metric space and let S be the collection of subset of X, which we will call the pieces. So X is said to be a tree-graded space, it is not a bar. So X is said to be tree-graded space with respect to these pieces as if every two different pieces have at most one common point, and the second one every simple and geodesic triangles, it means simple loop composed of three geodesic in X is contained in only one piece. So let Gy be a developable complex of group and G is the fundamental group of complex of group, and we have this natural morphism from complex of group to the fundamental group, and it is a developable complex of group. So we have the universal cover with respect to this natural morphism. Now then this is a complete geodesic metric space. They develop the universal cover and it is simply connected simplicial complex. Now then we define an equivalence relation on this universal cover. So the two simplices are said to be equivalent if and only if sigma and sigma 2 have a common face of dimension at least 1. So it means that, so you can think of this universal cover of a triangle of groups. So in the universal cover we have the triangles. So any two triangles, so this equivalence relation means that we have two triangles, so they are having an edge in common at least. So either they have this only one vertex in their intersection, or they will have an edge. So whenever they are having an edge in their intersection, then they will be in the same equivalence class. So by this equivalence relation, let us denote the collection of equivalence classes, and with this equivalence classes, so we managed to prove that the universal cover of this complex of group Gy is nothing but a tree-graded space with respect to this collection of equivalence classes. So whose proof I am not giving here because we have no time, but I will try to give a sketch of the proof of our main theorem, this combination theorem. So let Gy be a developable complex of hyperbolic group and so whose edge groups are finite and universal cover is a hyperbolic space. So then our claim is that this fundamental group of this complex of group is hyperbolic and the vertex group are quasi-convex. Sketch of the proof. So now this since we are given a developable complex of group, so here we are given hyperbolic group. So then by above proposition we see that this universal cover is a triggered space with respect to S. So now what do? We just take the one skeleton of this universal cover, and so this one skeleton will be a graph, and we have the action of the fundamental group over on this graph. So now since the edge groups are finite, so this will imply that each pieces of this one skeleton of this triggered space is a fine graph. So here I am not giving the full explanation. So let me draw some picture here. So in case of triangle of group situation, suppose you are given this triangle of group here, and suppose you have, and this you have this edge groups which are finite, and okay, so let's say this is trivial. So now then you have to look at in the universal cover. So the universal cover will look like this. We start with a triangle, and then you will have some triangle which are attaching to this edge. Then so how many triangle you can attach at this edge? So it will depend on the index of the face group in the edge group. So which is finite in this situation. So therefore you can attach only finitely many triangle at this edge. Let's say E. And similarly you can do here also, there will be only finitely many. And obviously you can have infinitely many triangles which are attaching at this vertex, and so on. So now by this observation we will see that each pieces in the development will be a fine graph in the one skeleton of the development actually. And since each pieces is this fine graph, so the whole one skeleton of the universal cover will be a fine graph, and it will be hyperbolic because we have assumed that the universal cover is a hyperbolic space. So one skeleton is quasi isometric to that full universal cover. So then quasi this hyperbolicity is invariant under quasi isometry. So what is the output? Output is that we have this action of the fundamental group of given complex of group on a fine hyperbolic graph, and the edge stabilizer are also finite, and it is acting co-compactly. Quotient is finite, and so therefore it satisfies all the hypotheses of this about the definition of this relative hyperbolicity. So what does it mean? So it means that G will be hyperbolic relative to infinite vertex stabilizer. So what are they? But they are nothing but the vertex, this local group. But we know that each vertex group are hyperbolic by assumption. So therefore, we can remove all these hyperbolic vertex group in the collection. So therefore, the conclusion is that the G will be hyperbolic. Okay, so now this is the sketch of the proof of this theorem. So here I am stopping. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Ravi, for the nice talk. Yeah, it was quite involved. So any questions?
It was involved actually.
Yeah. No, nice. The proof is good. Any questions? So Ravi, this paper is already on the archive, or you are planning
No,
to?
it is not. It is actually under progress. We are writing this.
Okay. But I saw one announcement on the archive.
Yeah, there was an announcement, but we still have to put on the archive. We are in the process.
Acha, acha. Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. So if there are no questions, then yeah. Thanks again,
Okay,
Ravi.
so then I will stop sharing.
Yeah.